Hey guys, so today's video, oh my god, there was a spider on my wall, which has now been replaced with a mark of my sandal. Anyway, so today's video is going to be another round of nail hacks, and the first one somehow like blew up. It has like 800,000 views right now. I have no idea how it got that much exposure. It was it was very interesting. I stopped reading the comments on that because it was mostly people who were like, oh, thank you so much, this is so helpful. And then there were those few people who were like, you're copying all of these. So that was fun. I think it's mostly people who probably thought I was new to nails because it was just a couple months after I started my channel, but those people didn't realize that I've been doing nails for a long time. So yeah, that was fun. But I wanted to do another round of this because ever since that video, I've been slowly building a list back up. And once you come up with 20 nail hacks or 21, whatever it was, it's hard to come up with more because after I finished that video, I was like, okay, this is all I have. Like, nail hacks are done. No more nail hacks ever. But every time I did a little trick on my nails, I decided to write it down, even if it's something that I thought people might already know. A lot of times I think that, you know, I don't know anything new, which is weird. And then I'll show you guys and you're like, wait, what? Like, what are you doing? So I really wanted to make another list for you guys, something to help you guys out and just to show you guys that there's a lot of different ways to do many different things. There's not just one way to do one thing. You don't have to follow exactly what I do or what other nail artists do. You guys can take things and try them different ways and make them your own. So that's really what this list is about. Oh, by the way, can we just... If you follow me on Snapchat, you know my obsession with this shirt. I love this shirt so much. You got Michael, you got Prison Mike. I don't remember when Michael wears a fedora, and I feel like a terrible Office fan for not being able to remember this, but I'm sure he's worn this because Michael would wear a fedora. Santa Mike, Mustache Mike from when he imitated Ryan, and then we got Date Mike, of course. If you guys want to know where I got this, I'll definitely leave it in the description box. Anyway, so if you guys want to see, I think I have 20 on this list, maybe 21. I wanted to get another 20. I feel like I couldn't give you a video of 20 and then the next video have less. So I just kind of waited until I built a list of about 20. I hope you guys enjoy this video and here we go. So nail hack number 1 is all about cotton balls. And I know you're thinking, we already know to use cotton balls to take off nail polish. This nail hack is all about how to use your cotton balls. So a lot of times when people take a cotton ball out of the bag, they will take their nail polish remover and just put it up like that and start removing their nail polish this way. But what happens when you have the cotton just in its regular form like this is that there's all this cotton in the middle that you're not utilizing, and so you can get a lot more usage out of one cotton ball simply by just going little by little and pulling it apart, not too thin, but just so you get more space to remove your nail polish. So instead of just using a small piece like this, you can use a larger piece like this. This next hack is all about cuticle oil. Now you guys already know that cuticle oil is super important to hydrate your cuticles and to keep your nails nice and healthy, but maybe sometimes you forgot your cuticle oil, you don't have it on you, maybe you're traveling, or whatever the reason may be, you don't have any cuticle oil on you. A really good alternative to cuticle oil is coconut oil. Coconut oil can be used for so many different things. It can be used as a hair mask, it can be used for cooking. I use it on my elbows or my knees if I'm feeling particularly dry, but it also works as a great cuticle oil. It's super hydrating, it smells really good, and since it's become more popular over the last couple years, you may already have it in your cabinet. It's pretty inexpensive. You don't need to buy the super fancy kind. This is from Trader Joe's. It's about $5.99 for a 16-ounce jar. You can just scoop some out and apply it directly to your nails. If you don't have coconut oil, olive oil is a very good alternative too. I just have a really big bottle of it, so I didn't put it in the video, but it's definitely a good alternative to either cuticle oil or coconut oil. And sticking with cuticle oil, if you happen to have a pen like this and it's empty, see mine is totally gone. I don't toss them because sometimes I like to apply cuticle oil to my fingers as I have right here. Instead of getting my other finger oily to rub it in, I'll just take my used up cuticle oil pen and rub it in that way. So you kind of get another usage out of your cuticle oil pens. And while we're on the subject of cuticle oil, another great use for this is to apply it to your nails before pushing your cuticles down. Now, I know that a lot of salons nails. Even myself have told you that you should soak your nails in soap and water before pushing them down, but I have found that adding some cuticle oil, I added a little bit too much, adding a little bit of cuticle oil and letting it soak for about a minute or two and then pushing your cuticles is going to not only help get rid of your cuticles, but it's also going to hydrate your nails at the same time. It looks like I'm pushing harder than I actually am, but I'm being pretty gentle and I'm trying not to scrape my nail because this is a metal pusher, so you do want to be careful when using a metal pusher. Maybe use an orange wood stick if you think this might be a little too abrasive on your nails, but I use this all the time on myself, so I've just had a lot of practice with it. So now instead of dehydrating your nails in order to push your cuticles, you have this nice layer of moisture that you've just added to your nails while also being able to push away your cuticles. Now this trick is an oldie but a goodie. This has definitely been around for a while, but I kind of forgot about it until I recently was at the OPI offices and I saw a bottle of nail polish with a rubber band on it, and I thought to myself, why is there a rubber band? And I realized, oh yeah, it's that trick everybody except myself uses to open a bottle of nail polish that's hard to open. So all you do is you take a rubber band and you tie it around the bottle however many times it'll go around. And you basically have just formed a grip on an otherwise really smooth bottle that might be hard to grab onto. So just take your polish bottle and hold onto it where you have the rubber band. And there you go. This next hack is all about using vinyls. This is something that I like to do when I'm running low on French tip vinyls. I have plenty, but when I didn't have any more of these, what I used to do was take these are round vinyls. These have more of an oval shape and these have more of a round, just circle shape. And I like to use these on myself because I have kind of wider nail beds. I will take the oval vinyl and instead of just putting it on one nail like this, you can actually cut it in half and get 2 French tip vinyls out of it. And honestly, sometimes these give a better French tip shape than traditional French tip vinyls. So this hack is all about nail brush storage. Now, as you can see, this holds my nail art brushes and tools and all the supplies that I need to do all of my nail art designs, but this is not actually meant to hold brushes. This is actually a lip gloss holder. You can use so many different things for storage. I also see a lot of people use old candles that have almost melted all the way down. Now, I use this trick for my makeup brushes. I have an old one of these with my makeup brushes in it. I know that there's a really specific way to melt the last little bit of wax out, but I did it the wrong way. So I'm gonna find some videos and watch them and link one for you guys. But using old candle jars like this, they're really great glass jars and it's a really great use for something that you already have lying around so you don't have to go out and purchase something new. Also, this is the best smelling candle of all time. Please don't fight me. You can also use mason jars or empty seasoning jars. I particularly like this and the acrylic lip holder. This next hack is all about filling in the ridges of your nails. Now, if you can tell, I recently had gels on this nail. I did a terrible thing and I peeled some of them off, and that is what you see here, that little white spot. The blue spots I had polish on top of the ridges, and so they got filled in with blue. It's just a mess here. I know that it's extremely tempting to take a buffer and to start going like this and buffing the ridges out, but all you're doing is taking off the other layers of your nail plate, and even if you do even out your ridges with a buffer, you're just going to make your nails super thin. You're taking off layers of your nail enamel and you're really doing a lot of damage. So instead of using a buffer like this, you can use this. This is a ridge filler treatment from NCLA. I use this a lot on this thumb and this thumb because they both get really bad ridges, and this index finger too. And sometimes ridges are permanent and sometimes they're just some nail damage that will grow out. But if your nails normally don't have any ridges and you haven't had any real severe damage on them, it might just be that you might have scraped them, you might have made your nail bed a little uneven. Ridge filler is going to help you out a lot. It also comes in gel if you do want to use a gel formula. This is a really good one if you just use regular lacquer polish, and this OPI gel one is a really great gel version of the same thing. So this hack is about how to store acrylic paints so that you don't need to look at the bottle to know what color they are. Now, a lot of nail girls use this for their nail polish. I personally don't, because I just have so many bottles to do this with that I can't possibly get around to doing all of them. I only have about 15 bottles of acrylic paint, so this is a really great trick for those of you who want to organize your acrylic paint in just a nice, efficient, organized way. So if you notice, the caps of my acrylic paint are all white, and when they're stored in a row like this, you can't always tell what exactly you're gonna get when you get the bottle. All you need to do is open up the cap, just take whatever little amount of paint is in the cap and flip the cap over and just make a mark of what color it is. It doesn't need to be the most perfect mark in the world. You can make this whatever shape you want, but I just kind of put a blob of paint like that and just let it dry. And then I put it back on my acrylic paint and I store them all in a row, and I can just look at the cap. I don't have to pick up the bottle and try to figure out what color is inside. This hack is great for people who might be at work and need to change up their manicure last minute, or maybe you don't have vinyls laying around and you want to get a really cool design on your nails. You can just use these reinforcement stickers that you would normally use on paper, but they actually work great on your nails. I treat these stickers just like I would vinyls, so chances are if you're adding these stickers to your manicure, you already have a top coat, but if you don't, go ahead and apply a top coat first and let it dry before you apply your stickers. What's great about these reinforcement stickers is you can place them directly onto the nail and make a cool dotted manicure. You can place them underneath your nail tip so that you can create a French tip. My nails are a little too wide for this, but this works great on my smaller nails like my pinky. Or you can just place it right down here and create a really cool half moon design. It doesn't have to lay flat on your finger, but it does have to lay flat on your nail. So you just want to make sure that you're pushing it down. It's okay if it folds up like that as long as it is flat on your nail. And then just go ahead and lift it off immediately. And now you have this really cool two-toned manicure. If you want to maybe add an accent nail to your design, maybe you're just bored with your plain colored manicure, this is a really cool trick you can do at work, you can do it at home, and you can do it pretty easily. Another really easy nail hack is if you don't have dotting tools like this, you can easily make your own. And you can do this at work, at home, at school if you need to. But here is how to make your own dotting tools. So my favorite way to do this is to just take an old pen, preferably a pen that doesn't work. The reason it's important that your pen doesn't work or doesn't have ink is because if you dip a pen with ink in it into polish and then put it on your nail, the ink might run and actually mix into the polish that you apply. So instead of getting, let's say, a white dot, you might end up getting a white dot with some black or blue swirl in it. So it's just best to use a pen that just has stopped working. All you need to do is take your polish and take your pen and just dip it right in there, and then just take it directly to your nail and start applying your dots. It's super easy, and you probably have old pens lying around anyway, whether you're at home or at work. But it's just a really simple way to create a dotting tool if you don't have access to one already. Something else you can use is one of these needles that has this on the end of it. This also works as a dotting tool, but since it's wider, it'll just create a bigger dot. But if that's what you want, then this works really well for it. A good way to use this is you can hold it just like this, but if you want something that's a little more stable or easier to hold, then you can just take an old pencil and stick it into the eraser end. And just be careful when you do this, because if you slip, you might end up stabbing yourself, like I may or may not have done right here. I'm not confirming or denying, I'm just saying be careful when you insert the needle into the pencil eraser. Now I know a lot of people will use bobby pins and just pull them apart and use these rounded ends to do a polka dot design. I don't know about you guys, but my bobby pins are precious to me. I lose them all the time, so I don't mess around with my bobby pins anymore. I learned my lesson a long time ago when I tried to use a bobby pin and realized it had nail polish on it. You can feel free to use a bobby pin too if that doesn't really matter to you. These ends right here work really well for polka dots. So you can use this, you can use the pen, or you can use the needle, but you don't need dotting tools if you don't already have them. I showed you a few gradient hacks in my last video, so you guys already know about the sponge and cutting it off when you're done using it, but a really good trick for people who may not be comfortable using sponges yet, or just maybe haven't gotten it down. Instead of using a sponge, you can actually use a fan brush. that was weird. Hello. A fan brush can distribute two colors across your nail, kind of like a gradient does. It doesn't have the same effect because the sponge is more porous and can apply and hold the polish a lot differently than this brush, but you do still get a similar gradient effect that I will show you right now. What I like to do when I paint gradients is I start with one color of the lighter color, because then at least your base is the same color of one of the polishes that you're going to be painting anyway. So when you're using a fan brush, go ahead and take your colors, just put a drop, kind of how you would on a sponge, kind of line them up like this, and take your fan brush and start swiping. And this is when you kind of start blending the colors together too, just to make sure you get the whole brush nice and saturated. And now you can go ahead and apply it to your nail. And then just make sure you get the other side and make everything look nice and blended. And there you are. Bonus hack, if you notice, I applied the darker of the two colors to the top part of my nail, and the reason I like to do that is because if you get the darker color underneath here, it's just going to be harder to clean up. So I like to put the lighter colors here because they're easier to clean up, and the darker colors on top because chances are you're not going to hit your skin with that darker color, and if you do, it's just going to be right here. And for me personally, these areas are a lot easier to clean up than down here. So yeah, just another helpful little nail hack is to paint lighter colors on the bottom and darker colors on the top. This hack is all about matte top coats. So maybe now that you have your gradient all nice and done, you're thinking this would look really cool matte. It probably will. So a trick that I like to do, instead of just going in and applying the matte top coat immediately, matte top coats tend to sometimes smudge your designs, and they also don't smooth out your base very nicely. A trick to help with that is to just apply a regular shiny top coat on top of your design before you go in with your matte top coat. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this top coat to smooth everything out, also to make sure that nothing smudges when I apply my matte top coat. I know that the shiny top coats that I use do not smudge my designs, so I like to seal in the design first with that top coat, and then I can go ahead and apply my matte top coat when this is nice and dry. Now that the shiny top coat is dry, I'm gonna go in with my matte top coat. When you apply a matte top coat, by the way, you also want to make sure that you're not making too many strokes and you're not applying too much of the polish, because it will not come out with the matte effect that you want it to have. This next hack is all about nail polish remover. If you get a bottle like this that usually has a color to it, as you can see, this one is like a purple pink. These are usually acetone based removers, and while they do have acetone in them, they're not as strong as something like this, which is just a pure acetone remover. I use this to take off regular nail colors, and I use this to take off gels and glitter and polishes that are harder to remove. The problem is that sometimes a pure acetone is too strong and too dehydrating, and sometimes the acetone based polish removers are just not strong enough. So a good hack for this is to just combine the two into one bottle, which is exactly what I've done here. This used to have the OPI polish remover in it, but I finished this bottle. So I just combined the acetone and the acetone based polish remover into one kind of not full strength, but not medium strength, kind of somewhere in between. So instead of having to decide between an acetone based remover and a pure acetone remover, you can just combine the two and put them in one bottle and use that. So now maybe you've had your manicure on for a while, maybe you have some chips, whatever the reason, it is time to take your manicure off. Before I take my cotton and put it on with my nail polish remover, I'm gonna take some cuticle oil and apply it to the perimeter of my nail. The reason I like to do this is because nail polish remover is very dehydrating on the skin, and a lot of times we end up drying out our skin just to take off our nail polish. So I like to do this before I remove my nail polish, because then instead of taking the moisture off from your skin, it's just going to take off the oil that you just applied. And you wanna make sure that you, oh, sorry, my brush is so janky. You wanna make sure that you keep the oil off of the polish, just because then it's going to be harder for you to remove the polish, because the remover is gonna focus on the oil first. So just keep it right on the skin, on the outside of the nail, and then you can go in with your cotton ball and take it right off. This trick is especially great if you're using pure acetone, if you're removing a glitter or a gel or something that requires you to use acetone on your nails. This is great because sometimes you'll end up with that white residue from acetone, but with this trick, you just have a nice, clean, and soft finger. Hello everyone, welcome to my bathroom. I know that this is a little different than what you're used to seeing, but I wanted to show you this hack of how I remember to keep my nails and hands nice and moisturized. Here's my little stash that I keep next to the sink. I have some soap, some lotion, some face wash, and some mouthwash back there. One of the hacks that really helps me keep my hands moisturized is to keep a bottle of lotion right next to my soap, so that after I wash my hands, I just apply some lotion. I tend to forget to put lotion on my hands just because I'll, use the bathroom, wash my hands, and then just walk right out, and it'll just totally slip my mind. But I've noticed that by having this bottle here, it's just really easy for me to remember, like, oh, I just need to apply some lotion to my hands and to my nails. So I'll just take a pump and rub it all around and I am good to go. So staying in the sink for now, this hack is about how to keep your nails nice and safe when you're working with water. I get a lot of questions about how to keep your nails nice and hydrated if you're always working with water. A really good trick is to use rubber gloves. I know that this is a weird little setup and this is not my kitchen, but there are always people in the kitchen, and have you ever tried kicking people out of a kitchen? No one's gonna listen to you. It's the kitchen. It's the best room in the house. So we're just gonna use the bathroom for now. Putting on some rubber gloves before you do the dishes and before you start working with water is really going to make sure that your nails don't absorb any of the water that you're working with. Rubber gloves are gonna be your best friend, and they're very inexpensive and very easy to find. And finally, you guys know that I always recommend a hand cream. As I said earlier in the video, lotion is really important, cuticle oil is really important. Here's one hack that's really going to help you out now that it's getting a little warmer and a little sunnier. A really great hack is to use a hand cream like this that has SPF in it. I know that some of you may think that maybe you can just use the sunscreen you already have. You totally could. The sunscreen you have works all over the place. Sunscreens, I think, can get a little pricey, and this one specifically, the Eucerin one, this one was about $6. I just got it on Amazon and it just came in the mail, honestly, like an hour ago. It has really great reviews. I haven't personally tried it yet. It does have broad spectrum SPF 30, which is great. And the reason sunscreen on the hands is so important is because it doesn't just act as a moisturizer, but our hands have very loose skin. If you notice, you can easily pinch the skin on your hands, and it is said that hands show the first signs of aging. So a hand cream like this that has sunscreen in it, it's really going to help protect your hands in addition to keeping them moisturized. You can always use a little bit of extra protection when it comes to your hands. So that is it for my nail hack video part 2. I hope that there's something new in here that you didn't already know before. That's usually the goal with my videos, is to teach you something new. I didn't copy any of these. I didn't like go onto people's pages and be like, like what can I pull? Like these are all things that I do. There are a lot of things that I have seen other people do that are pretty common in the nail world, and there's a lot of things that I have not seen people do that I think I kind of just do on my own, I guess. I don't know. I don't like to say that like I started anything, just because I feel like that's a little crass, but there's a lot of things in here that are pretty common in the nail world, a lot of things that are not very common. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.